reserves stayed focused and stayed ready to answer the bell. I told them, I said, you guys are going to win us a game down the stretch, and I can look at every one of those players in the face and say, if it wasn't for you, this would not have been an elite season. We probably got as good a point guard play as any team in the entire country. That's because we had the best point guard in Tyrone Tate. But Tyrone only played 30 minutes, and when Tyrone sat down, there were two guys that did a tremendous job. First off, Ronnie Combs. Ronnie won the Coach's Appreciation Award, and that has to do with being a walk-on player who came in and did whatever it took to win. Mark Hostetter comes to us as a freshman knowing how to win. White River Valley, a lot of state tournament experience here in the state of Indiana, and in that championship game when Tyrone fouled out, there was Mark Hostetter playing for USI, competing for a national championship, and play did not drop off. When you think about Indiana basketball, you think about Jeff Doyle. Lagodi, his high school coach, Jack Butcher, tremendous history. Hoosiers, Jeff Doyle. Another senior who helped with the overall chemistry, cared about the team more than he cared about himself. A guy that I could look straight in the eye and say, Jeff, without you, we wouldn't have been able to do it. Todd Jones, the leading three-point field goal percentage shooter in the entire country. A guy that I did definitely not get enough shots for during the course of the season. Todd Jones oftentimes would come into the ball game and knock down some big threes when we were down. In the first half or the second half, it didn't matter. Todd shot 54% from three. I mean, some guys don't shoot that way. From two, the free throw line. As good a shooting big man as I have ever coached. Todd Jones was played his best basketball as a senior and was a huge part of our success. Joby Hall said this one time, that it's not really, it's not the coach's job to make all the right decisions. It's the player's job to make the decisions that are made work. And Brian Hebner is a good example of that. For his whole career, he's been the leading scorer. He's been always the go-to guy. And he had to find a way to fit into the system. Boy, by the end of the season, Brian was playing as well as anybody and really helped us down the stretch, especially winning that league championship. Craig Martin, being a senior, I was as proud and pleased for Craig as anybody because Craig played behind Brian for most of the season and was struggling midway through the season and could have packed his bags, but he didn't. He spent extra time in the gym. He fought through that, and he played his best basketball down the stretch in the NCAA tournament. When Brian got hurt, I was so pleased and happy for Craig Martin. Scott Taylor provided us with some athletic ability that we desperately needed. Scott is still a young player, and yet you watch him play pressure defense, and you watch him get out on the fast break and attack the basket, developing a real good jump shot. Scott Taylor is going to be an excellent basketball player. Neil Coyle probably played his best basketball in Springfield. You want to talk about a guy that gives you 110% every night. Neil was voted our best defensive player on this team, and he's just a sophomore. Academic all-GLVC, absolutely the epitome of a student athlete. Neil plays as hard as anybody play, night in and night out, oftentimes took the best defensive assignment, and he's a pretty effective scorer. Neil just did whatever it took to win, played with heart, played with emotion, loose balls, floor burns. Neil was somebody that I know opponents had a tough time preparing for. Early in the season, Scott Boyden was playing an awful lot of basketball. That was before Chris Bowles was going to join us. And I told Scott that his minutes were going to be reduced because of the return of Chris, our All-American. And Scott could have just put his head down and felt sorry for himself. Instead, Scott practiced harder, he worked tougher, and he stayed ready. I told him, I said, Scott, you're going to win a ball game for us. You'll either be ready to get it done or you'll fail. And he did not fail. Late in the season, Scott was in there playing on a regular rotation inside. I don't think anybody will forget his athleticism, his ability to play defense, the enthusiasm that he played the game with. Scott Boyden was a huge contributor in this elite season.
So with a win in the Great Lakes Regional, USI bid farewell to the pack, and it was on to Springfield. Someone who was with the Eagles every step of the way was Ryan Lemon. Ryan, it had to be quite a trip for the players as well as the fans.
It was a long road for the USI Eagles to finally get to Springfield and the Elite Eight basketball tournament, but what a better way to end a great season than for the Eagles to be playing in the national finals. And the best season in school's history ended with USI playing for the national championship. Now the team left earlier in the week, but many Eagle fans got up early on game day to make the trip east.
It's 6:15 in the morning. It's extremely early. been up since 4 o'clock waiting for this, but you know, it's something I just, you know, wouldn't even dream of passing up.
Well, I think they got a good chance of taking the whole thing. I really think they will. I wouldn't come up there for one game. I'm here for 3 games.
We love the Eagles. We really do, and we just think they're going to go all the way.
Hoorah! You! Hoorah! You! Hoorah! Rock, the baby, you! USI!
I think they're pretty warmed up. I think they're ready to go. Thank you for flying, US Air. Good luck to the USI Eagles.
And that night, all eyes were on the Springfield Civic Center as USI met South Dakota in their first-round matchup. And the Eagles looked impressive early. But USI trailed by 9 points before a 3-point barrage by Chris Bowles put the Eagles ahead for good. A Todd Jones three-pointer at the first-half buzzer put the Eagles up 52-42 at the half.
USI will be victorious tonight. 20 hours on a bus. We're not leaving tonight. We're going to be here the rest of the week.
The second half was all USI. Tyrone Tate with one of his 16 assists in the ballgame for Stanley Gerard. Later, it's Tate again, this time to Bowles for the jam, and it was all over. Eagles survive in their first-round matchup against South Dakota, winning it easily 98-77 to advance to the Final Four.
We play our best basketball when everybody contributes, and that's the first thing I told them at the end of the ball game. You look up and down the roster, you could look at every guy that stepped in the game and know that they contributed.
In Game 2, USI met New Hampshire, and with Chris Bowles in foul trouble, the Penmen had the Eagles down by 9 early. But Todd Jones hit 3 three-pointers in the first half, and Craig Martin also hit 3 threes, including the one to put USI ahead for good at 31-29. And at the half, USI led it by 15.
Well, I'm here with some wild USI fans here at halftime. These guys are pretty fired up. Nice hat he's got here. Hey, listen. Let me ask you guys a couple questions. What exactly is a penman? You have any idea? A penman? Any idea? Penmanship? English? What exactly is
the Constitution? It looks like John Hancock as their ascot.
You got any idea what a penman is? I think he's right. I think so. Right. It's a close ball game right now here at halftime. We got good seats right now. And excuse me? We're getting our tickets checked. Oh, it must be in the front row. All right, these are great seats, How'd you get these seats? We are all personal friends of Bob Euchre. Bob Euchre, great seats, hey, buddy. Bob Euchre, he's my main man. All right, go Eagles. How about those Eagles? They're great, man. Eagles. Go Eagles, all right, yeah! Woo! All right.
The second half was all USI, and for the second night in a row, Tate had 16 assists. Gerard led the way with 22 points as USI won it big, 111-89. Another win, another victory party at Una's Pizza for the USI contingent in Springfield. It was a great time for the fans, but a busy time for the coaches who were busy preparing for Cal State Bakersfield. And Bruce Pearl says he is only as good as his assistant coaches.
At the University of Southern Indiana, we have got the best Division II coaching staff in the country. First off, Brent Baker is our graduate assistant coach. He comes with me from the University of Iowa. He has got a tremendous basketball mind, did a terrific job for us in scouting, was quiet behind the scenes working with our players, tremendous confidence for a young man. Rick Curtis, my #1 assistant, a tremendous recruiter, wonderful with the players, the kind of person that I like surrounding myself because he is what I want my players to aspire to be. Rick Curtis is the best assistant coach in the country.
The USI fans were excited and ready for the Eagles championship matchup with Cal State Bakersfield.
The Eagles are going to win. They're going to blow them out. What are you talking about? Win? No, we're going to win big.
#1, all the way.
But for the third straight game, USI fell behind early until 2 Chris Bowles buckets cut the lead to 2.